want to do it again.
A Toastmaster went up and presented a great speech. There is no doubt that it was a very good speech. The evaluator, who have never met her, listened to the speech and gave her a great evaluation. I agreed with everything he said. I agreed because he put all the points I'm going to share with you, and some you know, into the evaluation. And he came with one thing the rest of us never had. He came with an objective view because he does not know this individual. The rest of us know her. She does great speeches. She speaks well. She speaks eloquently. And at the end of his evaluation, he asked her to redo the speech. The choice is hers. Now, how do these two connect? That she, a great speaker, did a great speech, but he, an evaluator, asked her to redo the speech. Because the objectives of the speech were not met. It does not matter how much I like you. I know some of you are videotaping, but I like to walk up and down. That is why I'm not a lecturing person. It does not matter how much I like you. It does not matter how much I want to get the next competent communicator for my club or the next advanced communicator gold. I personally believe that I am not doing you justice if I am doing it just for the CC. Right. In fact, I am doing injustice. I am so proud to be a Toastmaster that I tell everybody that I'm a Toastmaster. In fact, at one point I got embarrassed that people know me more as a Toastmaster than a Christian. So I've had to fix that. But I am very, very proud. And therefore, when I say to you, you have done well, I believe, and no, I am not the master, but I believe in my estimation at this time, with everything going on in my life and yours, that yes, you did do a good speech, and yes, you can go out and represent Toastmaster. Because the truth is, what you are as an individual on the job is what you are going to sell. My co-workers are joining Toastmasters because of what I do, and it is not only in speaking. It's about leadership. It's about my changing as a leader. And I sell the high-performance leadership to the core everywhere I go because I have been evaluated and I have improved. So what am I going to share with you today? Let's backtrack. That is my story. I will never forget that story. But how many of you in here think you are a great evaluator? Of course. Why are you embarrassed? What makes you a great evaluator?
Well, they try to evaluate a speech and not a speaker. They try to be objective. I try to big up the good points and just stick it in the little improvement side and then big up the other good points.
What makes you a great evaluator? I saw a hand here.
Hi, good morning. I'm Joelle Kangley from Trinidad. I think I am a good evaluator because I pay particular attention to everything that is being said. I try to zone out all of the distractions and concentrate on exactly what the speaker is saying based on the objectives of the particular lesson.
Okay, here's another question. What makes you, for me, the worst person to evaluate? Nobody ever asked you that before, did they? What makes you, for me, the evaluator, the worst person to evaluate? I can tell you right now why I'm the worst person you have to evaluate. I am not going to look at you at all, and therefore you're going to think I'm not going to appreciate what you've said. I am going to be looking down. After how many evaluations, I'm going to be looking down, and I have to say down or look up, respect the evaluator. I have to tell myself that. Because Garth said it. It is not easy to be told you have not done well. Especially if you're in a club where many of the persons are visitors. So think about it. You don't have to answer me. What makes you the worst person to evaluate? And that is where we have the conflict in evaluation. Because you say you are good and there is everything good about me. And the evaluator would like to offer a suggestion, but you don't agree. And there becomes the conflict between the speaker and the evaluator. And therefore the words I use as evaluator become even more important. And therefore when I'm meeting someone new for the first time, when I'm meeting Toastmaster Angelica, and it's the first time I'm going to evaluate her, the first thing I do is spend some time with Toastmaster Angelica. I have to. And let her know that I am on her side. Let her know that I am here to build her up. There are too many times I've seen it, Toastmasters who go straight to the lectern to evaluate speakers without speaking with the speaker. Then how are you going to find the right words? The best evaluators are not those who craft their speeches and give the evaluation as a speech, but those who evaluate the speaker so as to motivate the speaker. Anytime I start talking with you, I'm going to find out one thing about you that you want to change that's not in the manual, because it is all about you. And at the end of the day, as some persons have asked, if that is the worst presentation I've ever seen, that is perhaps the only thing I can find to say you have done well. And that becomes extremely important. Or I have seen evaluators who have not paid attention to the evaluations that went before, and therefore they cannot truly evaluate the growth of the individual. So even though this particular presentation is the worst you've ever seen, the previous comments, you would have been able to look at them and know that this speaker, the worst you've ever seen, is perhaps the best she's ever been. And that is what you need to motivate her to continue. Do not take it lightly that you just have a number 7 to evaluate. But let me ask you this, and this time I want an answer. Is there a speech you do not want to evaluate? Not a speaker now, a speech. Or a manual. I do not want to evaluate a technical presentation. I've been asked, I've refused many times. I do not. Is there a speech you do not want to evaluate or a manual? And I'm going to challenge you now that you need to know this. You need to take Toastmasters and its evaluation program so seriously that you know the speeches you cannot evaluate, because I'm going to suggest to you, and no, it is not law, I am going to suggest to you that we as Toastmasters do not as individuals have the right to evaluate every speech, because we do not take to that speech what we need to give the best presentation. I wanted to show you a presentation, but the DVD would not work over here. And that presentation is important to me because I remember going to a presentation and watching a gentleman pretend he was drunk, and his entire speech, his language slurred. He forgot what he was saying, and I sat there and I marveled at the speaker. Wow. I thought he was great. I'm in theater, and I thought it was a great speech. But the gentleman who evaluated him had no idea of the techniques in theater, of the language used in theater, and asked him to redo the speech. I nearly fainted. But you can't say anything. And therefore, I'm encouraging you to find the speeches you are not good at and find ways of becoming better at it. The fact that I will not do a technical presentation evaluation does not mean I won't. Dwight Cummings, who loves technical presentations in Jamaica, I line myself with him. What do I need to know so that I can evaluate the speech much better? I know about jargons, but what do I need to know to take to this evaluation? You can wake me up at home in the middle of the night, Donna, evaluate a number 1, a number 4, a number 9 for various reasons. And I'll tell you what the differences are. Yes, please.
Thank you. Well, the reason why is I wanted to ask, in a situation where you feel that you may not be fully competent, isn't that a situation where it might be useful to have a panel of evaluators so that each of the panelists, each of the Toastmasters on that panel, can bring a different perspective to the evaluation? So rather than ruling yourself out, there may be certain areas, but then there's certain techniques that you will still be able to identify with and can evaluate. And on that situation,
you can. There are some clubs that use panels, some clubs don't. But if I'm going to be the only one, I usually say no. And as I said, I line myself with persons who are going to build me into becoming a better evaluator for those presentations. And number one, because there's nothing a number one speaker can do to make me say you have not done well. Nothing. Unless he does not go up to the lectern. And you have to build those persons. We have a Toastmaster in Jamaica who tells you, if any day you get her to that lectern, she is not coming back. And she has told everybody, I finally got her to do her number one, and she's coming back. We have to learn who the people are and encourage them. And number four, because I like words.